fire season was busy. I mean, once it started, we were completely involved. I think that I was on a fire pretty much for 32 days straight. Then we had little fires before and after that. But it was busy, was the most, and emotional, I would say. Probably the most emotional summer I've ever had.
We had a fire down at Huntington that was started in town, and it took off. Went clear to Farewell Bend. It was a fast-moving desert fire. At that point, we realized that this fire season is going to be a tough one. And we had lots of grass, there was lots of feed out there, and it was turning dry and hot and wind every day.
That fire, it was leaning and burnt, running and leaning way out over everything. And when it hit our 8-foot line, it just stood up, and Gerald Holloway and his son were in the B-52 with that front cannon on it, and you just hear that pump went, whoa, they opened it wide up, and that thing's got a heck of a pump. And they took in, and we knocked that thing flat. If we hadn't stopped that fire there, we'd have been, I don't know where it would have quit. The Waihe River, was about the next place to fight it from.
And on normal years, we're good. We, the little bit of budget we live on, or if Mark has a fire and we all go out there and fight fire a day, we'll all come to his house and fill up with diesel or vice versa. But this year it was a little overwhelming. What do we have? A little over 500,000 acres within 20 miles of us, 25 miles of us, and that consumed a lot of time, a lot of money. There was a lot of stuff I neglected at home, I know, for a month that didn't get done.
So fire directly affects our livelihood because we survive with cows, and all this grass is how we feed our cows. And fires like this are life-altering for people. There's some people that, they may have lost every blade of grass they have. And that's tough.
I will admit I was about a week, 10 days of not having my mind right. I felt like I let my father and grandfather and everybody down before me that were on it. I'm third generation, so there's fifth generation actually on the ranch now, which that's a big deal. We haven't quite owned it 100 years, but pretty close. And this is the first time in 100 years that the whole place is burnt. But what did get my mind right and helped me was us going out every day fighting fires for somebody else. Just keeping busy, physical labor, and then going and trying to do some good for other people was what helped me clear my head a bunch.
So my family homesteaded here in the 1860s. Came across on the Oregon Trail and homesteaded here. I'm the 6th generation, I think, here. We got some deep roots here, and this community is really important to us, and that's one of the reasons why we want to keep these fires small.
It's easier to take a loss of your own than to see your neighbor lose
By far.
basically everything. So this summer, I don't even know how to count how many neighbors lost their whole place, basically, all of their range ground.
Keep going.
It just, as you go leave Vail and go north, it's just every one of them, one after another. Sit-aways, when I see them, and it's like, there's nothing I can do to help now. I've done what I can. I worked as hard as I could work to try to preserve something for them. And it's just like, you feel like you let them down.
Big time.
And you in the back of your mind, you didn't, because you gave it everything you had, but it's when you see them, it's like, man, I have no words, I'm sorry. And what can I do to help you? So it was tough.
That's why it's important for us that are out here. We can be first on scene. The local knowledge, we know the roads, we know the area, we know the fire behavior in that area. We've seen it. We've seen fires there before.
But mostly our firefighting was initial attack until this year we got more involved in back burns, you know, trying to slow a front up so we can make a push the next day.
Usually we can do one back burn per fire and make some progress. This year they were so massive.
Like 6 or 8 of us will show up with our 200-gallon tanks, and we'll just get in the line, and when the guy in front runs out of water, he just peels out and goes gets water and gets in the back of the line when he comes back. And we were able to get fairly efficient at turning a fire back into itself this year. We caught a lot of fire.
But we're only able to do that
with this
water,
tender, which helped us.
It's amazing. At any given moment, there's 12 to 20 apparatus out there, so everything else is private owned. You know, our private pickups and trucks and tractors and discs and whatever, which are all maintained by us.
I've told several people this, and half jokingly, but it's also very true. You won't find another bunch of people other than RFPA that can do more with less.
We're used to working with very little equipment.
Yeah.
You know, you start out with a shovel and I had a gunny sack. So having these things is absolutely amazing. Heck, we both spent a lot of time out of our districts.
Yeah.
And no, that was the beautiful thing about this summer is nobody cared whose fire it was.
There weren't any boundaries.
There weren't any
too
boundaries. It wasn't like, oh, it's on them, we're not going. It was a beautiful coalition of people that really came together. I think we've saved a lot of ground over the years by working together instead of being two entities basically fighting each other.
Recovering from this fire season is not going to be easy for a lot of people. It's going to be years and years.
Emotionally, it's going to take another season. I mean, every time I go up to the ranch, it hurts my heart a little more. Every time we drive around and start, figuring out what needs done, it's gonna, it hurts a little more. Financially, it's gonna be 10, 12 years before we can dig out of this hole. Yeah, you can't even fathom what reseeding costs, what fencing costs, what...
Yeah, you have a lifetime of building something and then it's just gone.
Yeah, that you paid for over generations and then it's gone.
Thousands of miles of fence, so much grass. The long-term effects on this are gonna be huge. We're still seeing them right now with wildlife coming down and eating stuff that we have left down here in the bottom. That may be everything that somebody has left. It's gonna go on for years.
Now we know, we found our weaknesses. More people, more equipment would be nice. More training, honestly, I think would be nice. Training that doesn't involve a fire. We got plenty, I guess, of training this year, but you can't get ready after the fire starts, so it's nice to have everything in place. There's way too many people to thank, I guess, the community definitely, but we wouldn't even be where we're at right now without the cooperation with the BLM and the Oregon Department of Forestry and the State Fire Marshal. Everybody has really led us up to this point.
It was hard. It was a hard summer.
It was a really hard summer. Personally, I've shed more tears this year than I did in my whole life because it just kept going. It wasn't something you healed from really fast, but yeah, you'd get home some days just sit in the pickup for 10 minutes and contemplate life a little bit, I guess. But it's gonna take, he's getting better now, but this summer it was hard on him. It really was. It really was. But I appreciated it.
Well, it's just
What you do.
what I would do to help anybody.
Yep. He's right. You found out who your friends were and who your good friends are. And I don't think I mean, all I found was good friends this summer. It was amazing, absolutely amazing.